your heart and your mind. But let me tell you, debt is what you have and it's not who you are. If you ever felt ashamed or stuck in a financial rut, this video is here to help you break free and rebuild your confidence. Let's talk about it. Before we get into it, let's take a second and make sure we hit that like and subscribe button. It's real quick, it's easy, and honestly, it's the first step towards you showing up for yourself and your financial journey. Don't forget, drop your thoughts in the comments. I love to hear whatever your biggest takeaway is, what resonated with you as you watch this video. One important thing I want to note as we talk about debt and it always comes up is it can feel overwhelming, or it can make you feel shame, guilt, or you'll feel like it's all just overcoming you. One of my clients did a financial review as a part of her, New Year ritual, and she realized that she had charged $5,000 in DoorDash, and she was upset with herself. She was talking about she felt ashamed, and I had to break it down to her that she shouldn't feel ashamed. She had no reason. When she first started working with me and she first started out, she didn't know where her money was coming or going. Now she does, because she was able to calculate that. Clock it, as they say. Here's the thing, only avoiding it and not tackling it is going to cause it to constantly grow. And that's how it becomes overwhelming. Progress is not perfection. Progress is the goal. To progress and continually move forward. It's so much better to be open and honest about your debt, especially when it comes to yourself. Start a slow roll. That progress is much better than avoiding it. Don't pressure yourself to be debt-free in 6 months because all the famous influencers are. This is one of the reasons that I'm always very transparent about my journey, and I'm openly talking about what I've been through and what I've done, because I want people to know that steady progress still looks good on you. Even if all of the influencers and this person and that person is talking about how much money they paid off and they did it in 3 months and all these wonderful journeys, and not to discount those journeys because that's an amazing feat. Shout out to them. I celebrate them also. I shout out to them. I don't even have to be somebody that I follow. Every time I see a journey like that, or I see someone's story, I'm always going to like it and cheerlead for them. But I also want to make sure those people who maybe they are not paying it off that fast, to know that that's okay too, to know that that's normal too. It's normal to have a steady progress. That's why I said start a slow roll. Don't put so much pressure on yourself that you don't feel like you're capable of it. And now you went from overwhelmed to suffocation. You see what I'm saying? If you're hungry for even more like tips or different things, I have live webinars on this channel. And what I'll do is I'm going to pull some highlights from 2 of my favorites. One of them was called Beyond the Bills, and the other one is called The Money Moves. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'll put direct links to both of them at the end so you can get the full versions. But so in the Beyond My Bills webinar, I talked about tackling some of the habits that lead to debt. So one of those is going to be impulse shopping. Impulse shopping is when you make a purchase on an impulse. This can be when you standing in those budget busting lines in the department stores or in the neighborhood stores, and they have all of those products you have to pass through. When you go on vacation and they make you walk through the gift store before you exit the amusement park or exit the ride. All of those things are meant to encourage impulse shopping. It's an impulse because it's not something you planned on spending when you arrived. It's not something that a purchase you planned on making. And so a lot of my clients, when they come to tell me about a purchase they made, they'll come in first. No, before I say this, just know I saved $70. And it's like, no, you didn't. You spent $200. You think you saved $70, but if you didn't go there with the intention to spend that money, have the ability to check to see if you had that money to spend, it's giving you really didn't save anything. But that's just my thing. Another one is going to be lifestyle creep. So it talks about how as your lifestyle improves, meaning your pay gets better or different things, you create bills to suck up that extra money, which now keeps you in the same predicament that you were in before. Ignoring small amounts. This matters in both directions. Ignoring small amounts as far as when making purchases and ignoring small amounts when paying off debt. So if you make purchases and those small amounts look real good and you're like, oh, let me grab these up. It's only a little amount. And now you're walking out of Target with $200 worth of merchandise, or you walking out of Dollar Tree or Dollar Tree with $200 worth of merchandise. That's giving, whoa, what happened? How did we get here? Or it goes the other way when it comes to paying off debt. If you feel like, oh, well, I only have $5, I'm not going to put that $5 down. I will be the first to tell you, when I was on my debt repayment journey and paying off that debt, if I got an extra $5, I would make an extra $5 payment, because small amounts add up to, and don't you forget it. To be completely honest, a lot of those little behaviors, they snowball much faster than you think. But the good news is that they're fixable. So you can fix these different habits. You can work on them. You can improve on these different habits. If something I just said resonated with you and you realize that you do that regularly, definitely drop that down in the comments. But more importantly, as you go forward after today, be more mindful, more demure, very aware of your finances. Okay. All right. So I'm going to say this probably a lot of times during this video, but I want to make sure that this is one of the things that you get after watching today. Your net worth does not define who you are. Okay. But taking control of your finances, it shows who you are becoming. And I'll say that again. Okay. Just for those, who didn't get it. Debt is not a reflection of your character. It's just a math problem, and you trying to figure out the solution for your math problem. I know we hear the term all the time, your network determines your net worth. And I believe that. But with that said, your net worth doesn't define who you are. Get it? Got it? Let's go. Of course, I break a lot of this stuff down in more detail in the videos and the webinars, but I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of some of the habits that might be contributing to your overwhelm. For my other webinar, the Money Moves webinar, I shared different ways how to take control of your finances. So one of the first things is decluttering your finances. So of course, that starts out with a complete list of your debt, because if that's what's overwhelming you, let's break this down and see exactly what we're dealing with. So make a complete list of your debts. Make sure that list includes interest rates. How much do you owe? What's the credit limit? What are your minimum payments? When it comes to making a repayment plan for your debt, the two popular repayment plans, of course, are the snowball and the avalanche method. But I do want to empower you that you have the ability to create your own repayment method. See, here's the thing. It's your world. It's your wallet. So you have the ability to create a debt repayment plan that works best for you. For me personally, when I paid off debt, and if you've watched any of my other videos talking about my journey, I always say this. I paid off my car note first, and I paid that off first because it was a big chunk of my payment, because at this time, this is before I got my life right with money. So my car note was pretty expensive. Well, pretty expensive in those times. Now it would be kind of normal, but I was paying like almost $500 a month for this car. And so that was a big chunk of my paycheck. That was a big chunk coming out. So I felt like if I paid this off first and knocked this out, and granted, I think I probably paid it off in half the time as opposed to paying it the full 5 years. I paid it off in 2.5. But for me, it was like, okay, I can get this paid off in 2.5 years. And guess what? Now I don't have this full thing. I don't have this full big payment to make. And I can take that $500. How much more can I pay down on my credit cards with this additional $500 a month? That's where my mind was going. So like I said, you have the snowball and the avalanche method, but definitely be empowered to make your own repayment method. I want you to be empowered in how you move with your money. I want you to be more confident in the decisions you make with your money. And that's going to start with you creating better habits. But you have to create better habits that align with you, that align with who you are, because that's the way to create sustainable habits. That's the way to create long-lasting, sustainable financial stability. Picking something because it's cute or, oh, this is real great, but it's not something you really like, or it's not something that will be able to consistently work in your lifestyle, sometimes that's not always the best decision and it doesn't work well for you. Throughout this journey, definitely you will need to experiment. You might have to try a few things. All of that is up to you, but I want you to be more empowered in how you move. I want you to be more empowered with your money moves. Okay, so the best strategy is the one that's going to fit your life and it's going to keep you motivated. If you don't know what the debt snowball or the debt avalanche is, I definitely break them down in the videos, in the webinars, but I'm just going to give you a small description now. So the debt snowball is basically when you're paying off your debt based on the smallest balance. That's what you're going to pay off first and go on. The debt avalanche is when you pay off based on the highest interest rate. In both of those different methods, your minimum payment will be paid on time every single month on all current debts. And I say that very importantly because we're not trying to go back while we're making progress. So making sure that you're still making the minimum payment on all your debts, and at the same time, you're consistently activating this debt repayment method. Now, one of the other things I talked about, if you're going to declutter your finances, you also need to organize your money. Your bank accounts should be organized based on their purpose. So give your wallet some purpose. Identify which account holds the money for what. Which account is spending the money, which account is saving the money. This is creating financial boundaries for your budget, okay? This is creating financial boundaries for your money. Choose which debt repayment strategy that works for you. And once you do that, then you have the ability to go forth and execute it, okay? Once you do that, you choose which one works best for you, and then you go and pay it off. Successful debt repayment is just about being self-aware of your values and knowing what motivates you and knowing how you move. And once you do that, the strategy, long as it's being consistently executed, it will go well. I talked about that last week in my video about how consistently taking small steps lead to big shifts. It still applies. It still applies. So creating a plan, building momentum with small wins always is going to be a win. You have a debt repayment plan. So the next thing I need you to do is I need you to create an overall plan for your money. Because we just talked about, okay, we're trying to get rid of the overwhelm with debt, but we also need to go know what's going on with our finances as a whole. So you have to make sure that you create a budget. And if you don't like the word budget, that's cool. Honestly, you have the freedom to call it whatever you want to call it. You can call it a moon pie if you want it. You can call it your starship. You can call it, I'm creating a window. Whatever makes you feel comfortable and whatever you feel more comfortable saying that doesn't give you that negative energy or doesn't give you the feeling that you don't want to do it. Hey, the power is by the power vested in me as your coins confidant. Baby, call it what you want to call it. But as long as it results in you laying out your finances, getting an account for what money is coming in and what's going out, setting goals for the remaining dollars that's left, and assigning goals and assignments to each one of those dollars, and you're actively managing your finances and knocking out your goals, baby, you can call it whatever you would like to call it. And I'm here for it. Every step is going to count. So celebrating paying off even one small balance or just sticking to your budget for a week, just 1 week, it's a win. Small wins are always going to lead to big victories. So if you need help with this process and you feel like you need additional accountability, feel free to set up a free consultation with me. I have plenty of courses. I have a financial coaching program for those who need that extra accountability. Or maybe you just want to be around like-minded individuals who will encourage you rather than discourage you along this journey, because we That's another video. But you know what they say all the time. They always say it's lonely at the top or it gets lonely as you get higher, but it doesn't have to be. You just need a community. You need to find a community of individuals who are also working on their goals, who are also working to strive higher. Okay, so here's your takeaway. Debt doesn't define you, but you have to face it. And it's going to shape your future as you go along. So if you're ready to keep building financial confidence, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Join my goal digging community. We're in this together. We're going to take it one step at a time. You got this.